We are on our way to go backpacking, and it is a bumpy road. Woo-hoo-hoo! You know this is going to be a good trail when the road to get there looks like this.
We're here with our friends, Eric and Tina. We're going to hike Gardner Canyon, get a little backpacking in.
I'm excited.
We're excited.
This is an 11-mile hike we found on our All Trails app. We're about an hour outside of Tucson. It's beautiful. It reminds me of Northern California, where we grew up. It rained a couple days ago, so there's still some water down in the creeks, which is pretty unpredictable in Arizona. And that makes backpacking difficult, not knowing if there'll be water or not. Yeah, Fender, stay out of the water, buddy. Look at how deep that water is. That's 3 feet deep, maybe 4 feet. We got about 6 miles to our campsite. That means it's gonna get dark before we get there. So this will be an interesting night. But we're used to it. We're actually better at pitching our tent in the dark than in the daytime anyway.
I wish I'd realized how badly I needed this before we left, but once we got to the trailhead, I was getting really excited.
We are starting at 5,600 feet and we are going to 9,100. It's a gain of 3,700 feet in 6 miles, which that's a moderate hike, not bad. We're going counterclockwise on that loop.
Fender's picking up some really nasty Velcro stickers. It's making me wish I'd given him a haircut before we left.
You're too fluffy, buddy. Southern Arizona is really interesting. You'd think it'd be like Southern California where it gets hotter and hotter the more south you go. But it actually goes up in elevation when you go south and get towards Mexico. Mexico's a couple thousand feet higher than Tucson. Getting a little bit chilly. But it is the middle of winter. Normally this time of year, we snowshoe in the day and chicken out at night. Sometimes we backpack in the winter when it gets down to like 5 degrees at night. It's not super enjoyable, but it's still good to get out. But this is way better. There are some beautiful hikes here in Arizona, but very few of them are dog friendly, which is a bummer because these dogs love hiking. But we're going to obey the rules and not bring them out on the dog prohibited trails. One thing I love about backpacking, especially when you change elevation, is how the entire ecosystem changes. We're in these big pine trees now with giant pine needles on the ground.
That's all you smell is pine.
It's awesome.
Great.
All right, Cave Canyon Trail, that's what we're on. Florida Saddle 1.9, which that's probably where we're gonna camp. Mount Wrightson 5.1. Who knows, we may do an out and back there tomorrow before we head back down.
Check it out, moss in Arizona. It does happen.
It's so much more fun hiking with friends. Eric and Tina are our kind of people.
If I'd known there was gonna be so much water, I wouldn't be carrying all these bottles full. But you never know, better safe.
I think we hike up to that saddle and then tomorrow we come around and hike down there back to the city. It's gonna be a cool sunrise tomorrow. I don't know where camp is. It's probably up there somewhere. What do you think? You having fun? We're getting close to the top. I think camp is right there. Look at that view. Starting to get dark. Probably only 15-20 minutes away from our campsite. We can see well, but the camera can't. Almost time to bust out the headlamps. Tina's back there, but you can't even see her, it's so dark. Always an adventure. It's about 7:15. We made it into the saddle. And it's freezing cold. The saddle is a bad place to stay because the wind just blows up over from both sides. So it's really cold. 32 degrees, maybe 34. But we're in a great shelter in our Hyperlight mountain gear Ultimate 4. There was not a big campsite up here like I'd hoped, but we're doing okay. This dehydrated food tastes awful unless you're backpacking. If you're backpacking, it tastes really good because you've been working all night, you're starving, and anything tastes good at this point. I am letting my food cook in here in my Vargo titanium bot. I reviewed this for a gear company once, and this is one of my favorite pieces of gear. It's a waterproof bottle and pot. The lid screws off with a watertight seal. Oh, look at that. And it's a hand warmer while my food's cooking. So I'm having chicken and rice from Mountain House. We buy it in the big old giant coffee can size. It's way cheaper than buying the individual meals. And I just pop it in here, cook it in here, and Mountain House meals are super salty, and most backpacking meals are super salty. And I used to want to get the low sodium ones, and then I remember how much I sweat backpacking, and I really need the electrolytes. So I'm actually glad to have electrolyte rich food when I'm doing this, because you drink so much water, sometimes you even need to eat salt tablets to replace those electrolytes. So that's what I'm having. It's 34 degrees in here, but there's no wind, so it feels warm.
I'm tasting the spicy pad thai for the first time. I like it. It's a hit. Mike and Karen turned me on to this. Thanks, guys.
Best part of the day for me was seeing the creeks and the little streams running down there. I did not expect to see water on this hike.
Best part of the day has been having friends to hike with. Way more fun with friends.
Well, it's 1 in the morning. We've been keeping an eye on the weather, and there's a wind warning.
We had a lot of timber fall after it got dark, after we stopped filming that was in the middle of the trail.
We're camped among a lot of dead trees. Last thing we want is to get crushed by a bunch of dead trees while we're sleeping. And we're not sleeping super well anyway because it's so windy. We've decided to move the tent away from where the dead trees are. We're gonna be sleeping on an incline, but we're just gonna wait it out, see if it gets much worse. We're gonna be camped right under some really healthy live trees where nothing can blow over into us. And even if something did blow over, the live trees would guard it and protect us from it. So we're gonna do the 1 o'clock tent redo and repack everything up so it doesn't blow away while we're repositioning our tent. It's a good thing we got lots of practice doing this at night.
It's plenty warm, but the wind is definitely nerve-wracking. Thunder's none too pleased with me about moving our tent in the middle of the night. But I can't blame him. Still a little nervous that the wind's gonna pick up more. If it stays like this, I'll feel okay. I just hope it doesn't pick up more.
I'm really worried about these corners coming out.
Put rocks on.
Let's go put some bigger rocks.
It's 5:30 in the morning. I finally dozed off and one of the tent stakes broke and the tent just kind of flew up in the air. And I grabbed onto it and we had to re-stake it. This is madness. We've camped in the wind a lot, but it's usually in the desert and you're out in the open. It's a little unnerving being in the forest though, where there's trees and deadfall and yeah, a little scary.
You know when you're pounding in your tent stakes and you hit a tree root? Well, we're sleeping on tree roots and it's so windy. When the wind blows a tree, the ground moves because you can feel the tree roots flexing with the wind. I've never felt that before. It's like the whole mountain is alive. It's pretty cool. Good morning! Best night's sleep ever.
I can't say it was the worst night's sleep because I don't think I slept.
We took the center pole down because the wind was so strong. We're gonna get off this shoulder where all the wind is and get back to the cars. This was the most level spot we could find to sleep last night. Not super level, but it worked. Hi, sweet dog. You're freezing. Sorry, buddy. shows how hardcore you guys are.
Never forget this trip.
Nope. One big lesson learned for me is to set up tent in the light so you can see where the hazards are, and to have a backup spot in mind in case you need to move in the middle of the night so you don't have to do that in the dark. Ready? We normally try to avoid out and back hikes, so we picked a loop hike, and the loop would have taken us up that ridge, but we were afraid weather's gonna be rolling in too quick, so we took the safe way back and came back the way we went. Next time we'd really like to do the whole loop.
I hear the creek getting closer. We're getting close to the bottom of the canyon. Great hike, super fun. Glad we played it safe, but I hope we get to finish this again someday. Am I disappointed that we didn't get to finish the loop? Yes. Am I glad that we're not up on the ridge right now with a high wind advisory? Absolutely. Best part of the trip was obviously hiking with friends and all the beautiful Clearwater Creek crossings we had. It was so beautiful.
Best part of the trip for me was sleeping on the dirt above the tree roots, and when the wind would blow you could feel the ground moving underneath you because the roots were supporting that tree, and wondering, is it gonna snap or is it gonna hold these? And then I'm wondering, there's a whole bunch of dead ones over there with no leaves swaying. I'm behind a live one, but it has more leaves, so it's swaying more. Which one is safer to sleep underneath? Super fun time with friends. I'm so glad we did this.
Two best parts of the trip for me were last night, eating dinner all huddled up in your tent there in the wind, and then waking up this morning to beautiful morning and serious high winds in our little native tent flap, just a flapping. Awesome trip with awesome people.
Best part of the trip for me was just hanging out with extremely cool people. A lot of times you have ideas of like how people are going to be, and to actually see how real Steve and Tess are. They're just genuine people, and they love hiking and camping and being outdoors, and they genuinely get off on it. I mean, it's all about being outdoors, and that's where Tina and I are too. So when you find kindred spirits like that really kind of makes your day, makes your month, makes your year, and we definitely enjoyed it.
I don't have anything at the moment. I don't know how many times I could be like, this is awesome, because it is.
Yeah, I know. You just can't say it enough.
So about 3 in the morning last night, we're trying to sleep and it's rustling around a lot, and then one of our corners comes undone. We find out 2 of our carbon fiber stakes snapped in half, and it just flipped it right open, and the wind was just ready to catch the whole thing like a sail and take it down. And Teresa, in like one move, in a split second, she just sits up, grabs it as it's flying back, and pulls it back and just hung on to it until I could restake it. That was some amazing ninja moves from Teresa.